Hey there artists, today is Valentine's Day, so today we're going to show you how to draw a Spider-Man heart. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with some wide arches, which will be the top of his eyes. And they're going to be kind of pointing down at an angle, like this. So this will be for his left eye. Now we're going to go about pinky width, and we're going to start on the other eye. So his eyes are actually going to come to a point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like this V shape, or an upside down V. Now, at the end of these V shapes, I'm going to draw a large curved line that's going to come towards the bottom of his eye. I'm going to try to repeat this line on the opposite side. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to curve my line up to connect to the bottom of that line. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw the inside of the eye. So on the left side, I'm going to start off with an arch. Now I'm going to draw a line coming down in an angle. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw this curved line that connects from here to here. Ideally, I'd like to color in this portion of his eye to be black. So before I do that, I'm going to try to replicate this shape, but on the other side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work at the top of the inside of the eye. And I'm going to make a curved line. Now I want to work on this back side by drawing another curved line to right about there. All I got to do is start from this line and connect it to this line with a straight line. And again, I want to fill in this portion of the eye with black or whatever color you'd like, or red if you want to do miles. But I'm going to fill that in later. So now that I have an idea of where his eyes are, I'm going to draw a heart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two large arches, kind of like a wide M shape. So that's my left side, and I'm going to try to do the same thing on the opposite side. So now, to make this a little bit easier, I'm going to say about 4 fingers width towards the bottom. I'm going to draw a V shape in the middle. Now my goal is to connect this line to this line and this line to this line by using a curved line. Now try not to press too hard like I did. You notice if you push too hard, it kind of moves your paper. So kind of lightly pull your hand across the paper. And this is my heart. So now let's add the webbing to Spider-Man's face. So I'm going to draw a line in between his eyes to kind of be the center or the guide for the center of the spider web. And actually I'll do one along the bottom. That's like an upside down arch. Now, from the middle of this line, I'm going to draw it straight towards the dip in the heart here. What we're going to do first is we're going to do the vertical lines in the Spider-Man web before we work on the horizontal parts of the Spider-Man web. So I'm going to draw my next line right here above his eye, and I'm going to angle it towards right here. So all I'm going to do is draw a straight line, like so. Now I kind of want to do this same line, but on the opposite side. So now that I got these verticals, let's move on to the side of the head, or the side of the heart. I'm going to draw some straight lines, let's say 3, that kind of come out at these angles. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Now feel free to pause the video at any point if you guys need me to slow down or if you guys need to catch up. So now that we have the verticals of the spider web here, let's work on the verticals down here. So unlike this one, we went right up the middle. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to use a center as a starting point, and I'm going to draw a line here and a line here. So these two lines right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come out at an angle like this. And then I'm going to come out at an angle like that. Now let's draw the last two vertical lines. So I'm going to come out at the bottom of the eyes right here. So this line here and this line here. All I'm going to do is come out to the outside of the heart. So right now we have the vertical lines of our Spider-Man web. So let's work on the horizontal versions. So for the top portion of the heart, we're going to do some upside down arches or some wide U shapes. So it'll look something like this. You see how they're kind of wide and they're curved, but they're facing downwards. The arches are facing downwards. So now we're going to give it some space before the next set of lines, and we're going to draw a curve up here and one on the other side. We'll add a curve right here and right here. So now this is basically the top portions of the web. So now let's work on the opposite side, and let's work on the lower half. Since these arches point down, we're going to point these arches up. So I'm going to do one right here, just by adding some little curved lines or little arches. But you see how my arches come upwards. Now I'm going to give it some space, and then right underneath the eye here, and I'm going to do another set. Now let's work on our very last set of horizontal lines. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to start this one right here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to work my way outwards and up. And this last one, let's just curl it towards the eyes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this portion in. Now if you have a couple crooked lines like I do, feel free to straighten them out just by retracing your line a little bit. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do want to try your best. This would be a perfect Valentine for those Marvel or Spider-Man fans. Or if you're a fan of Spider-Man yourself and you wanted to give it to somebody. Again, really take your time in coloring. A couple of tricks that you learn when you color is that if you try to color in the same direction as the lines, the marker streaks or the coloring streaks that you leave behind won't be as detectable. It'll look a lot smoother. So what I mean by that is you don't want to color this way and then color this way. Try to keep your strokes all in the same direction. If you guys hear some tapping or light banging in the background, that's because it's raining outside at this moment. Kind of peaceful, banging against the window. All right, so right now we've got the Spider-Man eyes. What I really want to do next is I kind of want to thicken the lines of my Spider-Man web. So what I mean by that is that I'm just going to add a retrace of my Spider-Man lines. All I'm doing is just retracing my lines, adding some thickness to certain points of my web. You don't have to look like mine. You can make it look like your own, but give it some character. All right. So now the last thing I want to do before I start coloring in some red is I'm going to actually add some thickness to the outline of my heart. And again, all I'm going to do is kind of just leave some space in between my lines. And then I'm going to retrace my heart here. And then I'll fill in any empty spots like this. You see how there's white in between here? All I have to do is just kind of fill it in. And what that's doing is it's thickening the line or the outline of my heart. Kind of give it more of like a comic book feel, I guess. It doesn't have to be perfect, but again, like I said earlier, try your best. So right now we have the outline of a Spider-Man heart. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fill in these white spots with some red, and I'm going to leave the inside of his eyes white. Maybe I'll add some light blue highlights in there to kind of look reflective, but we'll be right back. And this is my Spider-Man heart for Valentine's Day. So what I did there is I just added some highlights with some color pencils, took my time in coloring and added some different color markers for some shading, added some details like hearts and Spider-Man. But you know what? It doesn't even have to look like mine. You could really make it your own as long as you enjoy the creative process. Well, if you guys like these kind of videos, I hope you guys like and subscribe for any future videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
If you like my dad's videos, like and subscribe. See you next time.